How 80% of wholesalers get their first deal, the top 3 ways how and why, and exactly how you can do it to get your first deal and find your first deal in as little as 3 days. What is up, guys? Zach Ginn here.
Rick Ginn here.
And in today's video, what we really want to do is break down the top methods on exactly how most wholesalers get the first deal. And through our careful research and looking over everything and really looking at every of these people giving their first wholesaling deal, we have found that 80% of wholesalers get their first deal from just 3 things, right? And I can really put them in this category. And it's going to be a shocker for you to figure it out, but it's actually not that complicated. So that's why in today's video, we're going to share exactly the top 3 ways and really how you can use the 80% of these ways to get your first wholesaling deal in as little as 3 days. But before I break it down, y'all know what to do. Make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe. And we're going to break down everything you need to know about wholesaling real estate. So guys, make sure you smash that like button, click that subscribe button, comment below your questions, and we'll share and show you guys exactly how to get it going, how to get your first wholesaling deal in as quick, small amount of time as possible. And hey, most gurus will charge you $1,000 for this information, but you already know we got to give it absolutely for free. So we're excited. So let's get it going. You know, I think so many wholesalers, they get so confused, right? That they're like, what do I do? They got all this information. And I really think if you simplify this business, and that's what we're going to really break down today, right? We're going to kind of show the split of how you should spend your time pulling lists, marketing, all these things, and really show where to go, right?
Yeah.
So I tell you what to do with your time and how to do with your time. You should have all the success possible in wholesaling.
Yeah, it's the guys just saying rocket scientists. So if you follow the path that people have already created, and if specifically on the ones of the deals that they found, then it seems the reason that you could have the same success by following this. So
let's break it down, guys. So without further ado, you already know what to do. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get it going, guys. Really, let's kind of break down the first thing, right? So there's 2 ways to get started in wholesaling real estate. You're really going to think of it like, how does 80% of people get their first deal? Well, before we break that down, let's kind of break down how to spend the time, right? Because you might know exactly where to go, but if you don't spend the time correctly, it's not going to do well. So let's break down the first thing. And the first thing here is, how should I spend my time correct? So how does most wholesalers that are successful spend their time? We have really found what we call a 3-1-1 split. And that's honestly going to be the best split for most newbies, most beginners in wholesaling real estate, because this split is clearly going to show how you should spend your time correctly and exactly how you should spend your time for the best success possible in wholesaling. And this quick split is pretty simple, right? This is spending 3 hours for basically every 5 hours of wholesaling real estate. We have basically found that you should spend at least 3 hours marketing, 1 hour on acquisitions, follow-up appointments, and at least an hour for cash buyers. If you follow the split, you're really going to be able to spend your time effectively and really focus on what's most important, right? And yeah,
I mean, it's just a real simple plan. So if you follow it, obviously the marketing is the first one. You got to put a majority of your time in there, and don't forget about like working your cash buyers on the backside. So to me, it's a foolproof plan that works really well. And if it's people say, well, what if I have 10 hours? I'm like, just double it. It's like really easy. So it'd be 6-2-2.
Yeah. So if you have 10 hours you're going to put into wholesaling real estate, put 6 hours of it into the marketing, 2 hours of it into cash buyers, and 2 hours in the follow-up and acquisitions part, right? I think it's really important in wholesaling real estate that you should be able to follow the split correctly, because it's going to lead to the best success possible in wholesaling real estate. So let's break it down exactly what else we need to know here. So I think the thing you got to understand is, how do most wholesalers get their deal? Like what's one thing everyone coming into 2023 should really focus on? And honestly, I've always seen this and I've always said this, but niche lists are king. And I could say it once, I could say it a million times, but niche lists are going to be king. And this is because to get results that others don't, you have to do what others won't. And what won't your competition do? What won't most wholesalers do? They won't go after the lists that are difficult. They won't go after the lists that have real motivation, because it's a lot of work. And frankly, I think everybody knows this, but it is a lot of work in wholesaling real estate to go out here and pull these niche lists, right? It's very difficult, but because it's difficult and you go through the suffering of getting through that list, when you get the seller, it's actually pretty easy, versus an easy list when the suffering is dealing with the competition of people going after that list, right? And I always get people, they come up to me, they complain, they're like, Zach, you know what? I'm so sick of this. I pull a high equity lead and every other wholesaler talks to them, and I'm sick of it and I can't do it anymore. This is terrible. What's the secret? I say, go after a niche list. And they go after a niche list and say, Zach, it's so difficult to get the list. Oh, this is terrible. I'm like, well, what do you want? You're complaining on the back end for the first one, and now you're complaining on the front end. There's going to be some suffering you got to deal with. I'd rather you deal with the suffering of pulling a niche list versus the suffering of pulling a high equity list and then going through the suffering of being saturated with all the sellers saying no, right? Like, which one do you want to deal with? And one's going to lead you to more money and one's going to lead you to less money. It's like the suffering of not being healthy, right? It feels good to eat whatever you want and not exercise, but at the back end, it's not going to feel good. And the suffering of eating healthy and maybe some, like portion control or something like that, it's not fun, right? It's not fun eating not eating donuts all day, but like, guess what? At the end, it's not going to be as bad. And it's kind of like, that's the way I really look at it. And that's the way I look at work too, right? I'd rather work hard in the beginning so I don't have to financially stress versus, stressing the beginning of financials and then stressing at the end of it, right? So maybe you don't want to do the work. It's not stressful in the beginning, but because you didn't do the work, now you're financially stressed at the end. So a lot of the stuff we have and a lot of stuff in wholesaling real estate, you'll find is zero sum. And I know a lot of wholesalers don't like talking about that, but wholesaling real estate does come up to be a zero sum game. To what is taken, one is given, and what is given, one is taken. And what is worked for, one is earned. And if you've earned, you have to work for it. And if you haven't gotten anything, probably didn't work hard enough for it. And you have to equal your results. And we've always said this, but action equals results. To get the result you want, you have to do the action it takes to get that result. So if I want to make 100K, I'm going to have to do the work it takes to make 100K. That is the point. Niche lists are king, and most wholesalers aren't willing to do it, right?
Yeah. So guys, keep in mind when you're going to get your list, you're going to get resistance. Like the better the niche list, the harder it's going to be. And you need to look at it as like, well, that's an invitation, because if it's harder up front, that means it's harder for everybody else. So the easiest way to analyze it when you do it, as I always teach you, is to overcome resistance with persistence. It means just to steadily be nice and just keep killing them with building rapport and keep going back. The average person, if you can overcome at least 2 objections, you usually get whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
But you can't threaten them. You got to be nice about it. So guys, when you get resistance, just remember to overcome it. It's persistence. And if you keep that simple, like, it's kind of like a childhood rhyme, but it works. It works for everything you do in life with that. So when you get resistance, it's really easy to overcome with persistence at least twice.
Yeah. Resistance with persistence. That is the key here. So that's what we're going to break down today. So let's break down what are the niche lists, right? So the niche lists are going to be probates, code violations, arrest records, water shutoffs, fire damage properties. Now, there's a lot more to it, right? There's tax liens, there's tax delinquencies. I wouldn't put pre-foreclosures as a niche list per se, but this is kind of like a quick overview of like very difficult list to get for most wholesalers. And the arrest record list is actually pretty simple to get, but to cross-reference that data of the owners and people that actually own real estate, that's a lot more difficult to do. Water shutoffs, fire damage properties. I think we've talked about that before. Not the easiest thing in the world to pull. But when you do this, you are going to get lists where most wholesalers aren't able to do it. And I remember talking to one guy, I think Sunday or Thursday. The last live I was on before. And he was the only person that was pulling, I believe, the water shutoff list. And it was amazing, right? Yeah. And he's the only person in the whole county that was able to get it. And we've said before, we've had some markets in Florida where we're the only wholesaler pulling the probate list. And now there's other wholesalers pulling it. But like, if you can get through all the difficulty, there's a lot of rewards at the end. There's a lot. And I think so many wholesalers get so confused of it. And I just think so many people get so stressed out of a saturated list. So many people get so stressed out that, oh my gosh, my market's too saturated. I'm like, no, it ain't too saturated. You have to get to your level of your competition and higher. It's like I always say, Kobe Bryant, LeBron, Michael Jordan, they don't care that there's a lot of people wanting to be in the NBA. They don't care. Give them 1 million NBA players. They're going to whoop all their butts, right? Tyson Fury, the boxer, he doesn't care how many people want to fight him or how many boxers there are. He's going to whoop all their butts because he doesn't care about the competition. He rises above it. So when there's competition in my market, I don't fear it, right? I don't care. And I think so many wholesalers really, they get really scared, confused over competition. It drives me crazy. So, all right, let's go to the next part here. Let's talk about this. Let's kind of break down the top 3 things that 80% of wholesalers that get their first deal, they do these 3 things, right? What are the 3 things I'm talking about? What are they? Let's break it down. So I think the first thing we got to talk about are This is going to be a shocker for most people starting, but this is absolutely true. But driving for dollars, I think the first thing we can always say is there's 3 ways where most wholesalers get their first deal. Number one is going to be driving for dollars. And it's not the most popular way of getting someone's first deal, but you combine it with these 3 things. It's kind of an easy basket to put, but I'm talking about 80% of first deals. And I've talked to a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of wholesalers we've helped. And number one, if I can put one bucket of these people, they're driving for dollars, or they're reverse driving for dollars, right? They're getting in their car, they're looking for ugly looking properties. And then from there, they're either calling them, texting them, sticky note, whatever they're doing. Some do direct mail, right? But driving for dollars is so important. And especially in 2023, driving for dollars is actually going to be even more important than ever because of one really huge important factor that most wholesalers wholesaling is getting bigger. And I've said this a million times, but the second point here is because wholesaling is getting more saturated, it's going to get harder to find these lists, and everyone's going after the paid lists. Everyone's going after your market, a lot of people are going after government lists now, right? So you have to get a list that you have to earn. And that is the most important part. You can't buy a driving for dollars list. You have to earn the driving for dollars list. And it's really a list of all ugly looking houses. And I hate to say this, frankly, but the government list cannot get every single type of distressed property. It nets a very good amount. And I could probably say 60, 65, 70% of ugly properties can get sifted through because, I mean, think about it. The reason why most properties are ugly or distressed is because of financial issues with the seller or the property, which government lists are really good at doing that. But driving for dollars kind of gets that extra 20, 30% that no one ever does. And it's kind of funny, but it's just the extra part. And I think so many wholesalers neglect it. But when you're really struggling right now, driving for dollars is cheap, it's effective, and you can really destroy competition with it. And we've been pushing so many people. We had a driving for dollars challenge last month, and it really pushed a lot of people to get their first deal because they started going after properties that they couldn't even think of, no other wholesale in the market was doing, and they stopped complicating it. And that's why I think driving for dollars is so amazing and so important, is because you don't complicate things, right? You don't pull list, cross-reference crazy. You don't do any of this stupid stuff, right? You go in your car, you look for ugly houses. That's it. And if you can just have conversations with people that have ugly houses that you find, you're going to get a deal. You're going to get leads. You're going to get somebody that wants to sell the property, just get rid of it for cash. That is the power of driving for dollars. And if you use the sticky notes that you put on the property, it's like doing direct mail. You are spending probably $3,000 to $4,000 with the direct mail if you go hard in a month for the cost of probably $200-$300. Like you're getting rid of it by a multiple of 10 of your marketing. It's insane. And this is why driving for dollars is amazing. This is why we're pushing so many people to do it, because if you can go from on a deal and you're going after 4 or 5 other wholesalers, calling them, trying to get the deal, interested, their competition, to having 1 or 2, that's amazing. And a lot of their driving for dollars deals, no other wholesalers actually talk to them. What do you think that means? There's no competition. It makes it so much easier. It's literally like Kobe Bryant playing against college basketball players, not NBA players, because there's no competition. Yeah, it's easy.
It's really, if you think about the speed of it, if I have a list, a paid list of 10,000, what we call suspects or prospects, maybe it's a high equity list, a vacant list, whatever. It's somewhat of a guess based on God knows what parameters, as opposed to you going out and personally getting the list. Say you get 500 and I got 10,000. Well, number one, the 10,000, if I mail to them and cold call all 10,000, it's going to cost me a fortune and it's going to take a ton of time. And honestly, I have no idea. As opposed to you're driving for dollars, you can put this together in like a couple hours. Once you skip trace it, you have a much higher probability of getting a deal because number one, you have a very targeted list that you personally put together that nobody else can duplicate. And number two, you see signs of distress on the property, which are most likely going to indicate some sort of motivated seller. And so your screening goes much faster. So it is a much faster direct path. Which would you rather have, 500 highly suspect motivated sellers or 10,000? I have no idea. I have to rip through all of them. And God knows how much time it's going to take. Guys, driving for dollars is the most, in my opinion, the most targeted list you can get. And it has this extra push of giving you the confidence. Like, I went out and handpicked these. I know they're ugly. I know they don't look good. I got to get in touch with them. As opposed to a big giant list, you have to comb through it, pay it, and work your way through it. Guys, don't overlook driving for dollars. I know it's not super sexy, but I will tell you this. It is the most highly targeted list you can get. And the last part of it is because it's highly targeted and it's much smaller than these big bulk lists you paid for. Your speed to lead is so much faster. And if you understand that, that's why you always want to do driving for dollars. And here's what you have to understand. When you're really doing good in wholesaling, that's when you really want to do driving for dollars. Don't wait till when you're struggling. So when things are good, do it. So many of you people just react like, oh, we're not getting leads or something. Let's go do it now. If you consistently do this type of marketing, even when things are good, it will ensure the next quarter, the future of your deals. Guys, driving for dollars it will never leave. It is the most fast track proven way to get a motivated seller. And you cannot replace it with any other type of list.
Well, I've always said this. I've said this a million times, but like so many wholesalers, they get so stressed out, pulling the perfect list, getting everything ready, doing all this. Oh, paying all this money for skip tracing, paying all this money for a dialer, getting so stressed out. And I think the big part about it is like a mental barrier. A lot of wholesalers think, oh, this is a saturated list. This is terrible. Oh my gosh. Now, like no other wholesaler is going after this list most likely, or not every single lead. And there's definitely very, very likely if you got at least 500 of these leads, there's going to be a deal in there. Yeah. And that's the best part. And you're dealing with people who have ugly houses, right? You're not dealing with people that have houses, and there's going to be always the tire kickers, things like that. But like, it's amazing. And it's the best part because guys, as somebody that cold call 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for a year straight that has gone through that, I can tell you it is a lot easier to go listen to some like Travis Scott in a car trying for dollars. Travis Scott. You probably don't even know who Travis Scott is. He's amazing. But
who is he?
He's a rapper.
Okay.
But he's also like it's another story. But like you can listen to music, right? And you can go in your car and listen to music, find ugly houses, and then you can have your AirPods in and just slap them on the property and keep going. There's no other way where you can get a lot of money while listening to some bomb music, some awesome music, and make money, right? There's not, right? Like I can't cold call and do that. SMS text blasting, I can't concentrate that well, right? It drives me crazy. And when you reverse drive for dollars, I feel like I'm selling a course on reverse driving for. Like I feel like I'm selling a course on this.
Somebody offers a course.
I've seen.
You guys need a course for driving for dollars. I could do it in a minute.
No, we have it at freewholesaling.com.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm trying to convince you to. I don't know why I'm trying to, but like you put a sticky note on the property, it costs like half a penny, and the leads call you. So like you have leads coming to you. You get to listen to music and have leads come to you. And the best part about this is you can also, when you're driving for dollars, you can actually find people that are flipping properties. We've actually done this before. We drive for dollars. We find people flipping a house. Hey, what's up? Are you guys renovating this property? Yeah. My boss is flipping it. Oh, that's interesting. Let me get this information. Now I have an ugly house across the street. Cash buyer right there. Yeah. Boom, 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 right? I cannot tell you how many deals we found and how cash buyers we found by doing that. Trying for dollars is amazing. I didn't tell you. There was a couple people I found online now that are posting on Facebook groups this new secret in wholesaling real estate called reverse trying for dollars. And that DM me if you're interested, and we can kind of hop on a call and I can tell you about it. I've seen 3 of these already. I cannot tell you how annoying this is. And I can tell you guys, all the information we give at freewholesaling.com, because our following is growing, people get this information. They said, you know what? I'm gonna shift what we call reverse trying for dollars. I'm gonna call it a different name, and then I'm gonna sell a course on it. But I'm gonna call it a secret method to have sellers come to you that cost $100, $200 at most a month, and you can produce all this money. It's a big secret. I'm gonna call it let's call it the Barracuda method, and we're gonna make all this money, guys. It's insane. It's stupid. Like people are literally stealing what we're giving to you. This live right now, people are probably going to take this information straight up and try to sell you a course on it, and y'all are going to pay for it, okay? Because it's got some sexy name to it. It drives me crazy. I hate it, but what am I going to do with it, right? It's insane.
So guys, and keep in mind when you're doing driving for dollars as opposed to a list. Now, don't get me wrong. If you can use a combo of the both, it's the best way to do it. When you get list, you are targeting for motivated sellers, financial issues, back taxes, foreclosure, eviction, and so on. When you do a driving for dollars, you are targeting what we call a motivated property. So when you have a list, I will tell you this, you can target your list. And when a motivated seller is not motivated to sell and the property's not motivated, it's hard to move forward. If you do the driving for dollars method and you find a problematic property, meaning the property's motivated, meaning it needs work, whenever you have a motivated property, meaning it's in disrepair, it's in bad shape, I keep them on my list no matter what until that property's sold, because a motivated property is just waiting for a motivated seller. And when the two align, it's like magic. Now, when you target motivated seller list, back taxes, evictions, foreclosures, the problem is sometimes they are not motivated enough to sell it. And especially if the property's has issues, then they don't have a reason to sell it. This is why your driving for dollars leads, they're so much faster, because when you got a property, it's run down and you know it. And they go, no, there's nothing wrong with the property. I'm like, I drove by, it's missing a mailbox. There's a tarp on the roof and it's boarded up. Maybe I missed something. once you have that stuff, guys, whenever you have a property that has boarded up windows, a tarp on the roof, you stick to it till you have it under contract. Even when they tell me to take them off my list, I don't take them off my list because I know that property needs to be sold. So what I'm telling you is you can shortcut it by chasing motivated properties, because if you can even just get a slightly motivated seller with a highly motivated property, it's a much easier deal as opposed to doing it the other way. I got to go through 10,000 leads, sort through them, and a lot of them take 6 months to a year to come around. Guys, when you see a rundown property, they're usually within 30 to 90 days of like wrapping that puppy up. That's why driving for dollars is so valuable. It's hard to really explain that in layman's terms, but if you go out and hunt motivated properties, you just have to wait your time to turn into a motivated seller.
Exactly. So let's talk about number 2. Okay, so we've talked about driving for dollars. You can do it. I saw a fun comment. They're going to call it the secret car technique. They're going to call it whatever. Like Justin's, he's just making a joke, but like these gurus.
Any word like secret, I have a secret method. They don't. The secret is code for paid course. By the way, mastermind is code for you have to join a group. You have to pay for it and do it. And we'll never tell you what the turnover is. And then you have to contribute all your information.
Yeah.
Guys, you want to do a mastermind, anything you can do organically, that's the real benefit because everybody brings something to the table.
I've already done that. Like I've already told you, you know this. I get 98% of the top wholesalers I have in my contacts right now, and they call me, they reach out to me, we talk, we call, like we get information, and I don't pay for it. And it's so crazy when gurus try to do that crazy thing, but like it's insane. But guys, just letting you know, it drives me crazy. But drawing for dollars is amazing. You guys need to do it. If not, do whatever you want. But these gurus drive me crazy. They're getting broker by the second, and they're getting more desperate. There's a reason why 300 years ago people were doing the snake oil thing, and it's the same exact thing. It's human nature. Okay, I'm going to change the name of my secret elixir. I'm going to call it snake oil, and it's going to change everything because it's a sexy name and it's going to like change everything. It drives me crazy, but it's human nature for us to get attracted to that type of stuff. And that's why y'all buy the stupid courses, because it's got a cool name to it, or maybe it's a challenge with an interesting name. And then y'all go buy the course because you think it's going to change everything. Drives me crazy. I don't get it. Number 2 is government lists. And not just government lists. What I mean by this is if you have a wholesaling real estate deal, and look at 80% of wholesalers, they got it from either driving for dollars. Number 2 here is going to be government lists, and not just government lists, right? So like, even if you got a deal from somewhere outside of a government list, that deal was on a government list. For example, so if someone got a deal from a Bannatyne, they were probably 2 years behind on the property taxes, which would have been on the tax delinquency list. So maybe you'll sue a Bannatyne, but that was on the tax delinquency list. Or it was a tired landlord that you had to pay a software for, but it was on the evictions list, right? All of these things, guys, I could tell you a million times, they're all going to be on the government list. And I can go forever in government lists. You already know freewholesaling.com or free real estate wholesaling course. That is how you actually learn how to pull these lists. But these are going to be, like we said, like the probates, code violation, arrest records, water shutoffs, fire damage properties, evictions, tax delinquencies, tax liens. You can even go a little further, the IRS debt lien list, the credit card debt lien list. These lists really can go on and on and on forever. Niche lists, I can also add bail bondsman, but that's not a government list, so that's going to be a little different. But I can tell you guys, the government lists are going to have 80% of these deals, and the other 15% are probably going to be on a drawing for dollars list because it's just ugly, right? And if you mix those two, that's all you're going to need. But the government lists are out there, right? We've coined the term government list because no other person wanted to do it. They couldn't make money off of you from it, and so we share how to do it for free, because a lot of wholesalers, they get deals from government lists, but no guru ever wanted to mention it, right? And it's something we've always been doing, and so many people have started doing, and it changes lives, right? It drives me crazy that these gurus out here don't talk about it. But the government lists are amazing, right? And if you can focus on one government list, I would probably just stick to the probates. And here's a big secret too. And this is we'll put this on the hush hush. This will be part of the secret car method we won't talk about. Okay. I'm going to use that too. I'm going to use the secret car method.
Secret car method.
Hopefully the guru didn't copyright that already. But the secret car method is, all right, let's go back to niche lists for a second. Okay. We have our probates, code violations, arrest records. So let's do this really quick. Let's go after code violations specifically, because it's one of my favorite mixes. And this is kind of how we like shift things, then curl it together. So if I pull code violations in my city, county, or whatever, of all open code violations past 30 days, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that list, and let's say it's 123 Main Avenue, 123 Main Street. What we're going to do here is we are going to go to the property and put a sticky note on it. And you can either get like dmzac.com, Google Maps actually has this, and then Apple Maps has this where you can make routes. You don't have to go pay for software to do this, but like there's also softwares that will make a route so it's the most efficient possible. I believe listaria.com has this too, and I need to check on zacdata.com if they have that. But you can make a route of 10 properties and see which is the most effective route, like a UPS driver or like an Amazon, FedEx type person. And you go to those houses, you stick sticky notes, and you drive $4 in between. It's absolutely amazing because once there is one deal, there's other deals around it. And that's really good, right? And I think a lot of people need to be going after that, right? And the last part is just cold calling, right? And 80% of wholesalers get their first deal from either those three things or had either of those things on the list. So driving for dollars, government lists, and cold calling. So 80% of all first deals in wholesaling real estate will come from driving for dollars. Either that will be on there, government list will be on there, or there will be some sort of cold calling that had to be done. And so the method and the reasoning why we're talking about this and how you're going to use this to get your first deal in 3 days or less or find it is if 80% of all people have to go through these paths to get their first deal, why are a lot of you guys out here trying to do the 20%? And it drives me crazy, right? So many wholesalers will try to do Facebook SEO ads or something crazy to get their first deal and spend all this money and like, oh, I'm going to go use a paid list and then I'm going to get SMS text blasted. Or guys, it drives me crazy because if 80% of people that became successful getting their first deal had to go through these 3 paths, why are you going to try to do something different than that, right? And it drives me crazy, right? It's just doing the long path, and you're going to be set up for not failure, but you're going to be set up for a lot of pain if you're trying to do it the other path, because if you're going against where most wholesalers can do it successfully starting out, it's not good. And don't try to get all your success off the 20% unless you know it's going to be amazing. Do what it takes. And if 80% of people are successful getting their first deal from these methods, do them, right? I just think a lot of people try to go against the grain. And they think the most popular thing is doing, this crazy method this one person says. And like, I remember I should just JV all my deals. There's guys that can JV all their deals, right? Mm-hmm. But it's very difficult to do that, right?
I agree. Like, just if a path's already laid out for you and it's proven, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Like wholesaling is not the business, not the sport to like pave your own way, because it's painful and expensive to pave your own way. I've tried paving my way in several different ways, and I always go back to the proven route. So you don't need to be a hero. The hero is to get you to financial freedom is you got to get deals done. So if 80% of the deals are done this way, take the clues and use them, and don't you are not that smart that you're going to find like a separate way and you think you're going to master Facebook or PPC. It's a whole different world. I don't even do it because it's a really, really expensive route. And unless you have the staff and everything set up to do that way, and you're willing to make a year investment on it, just go with what works. So the idea is to get those first few deals under your belt so you have options like for future marketing. And if you can figure out how to make money on driving for dollars, cold calling, and using government lists, then imagine what you can do when you have like paid dollars to assist you in your marketing. You'll do it very well. Whereas a lot of people, when they start out and they hire a guru, the guru goes, you got to spend $3,000 to $5,000 a month on marketing. You know why they do that? Because it makes it super easy for the guru. The problem is you got to probably smoke through your money because you don't know how to talk to those people. And the only thing that's going to get you experience is time. So I'd rather you have high reputation on people failing in the beginning, because once you get through it, say you get through 3,000 phone calls, you get a deal. Those 3,000 are now the blueprint for you going forward, and you can be much more precise, and you'll have the confidence to close a ton of deals in the future from that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we got to say about that. That's how I think most wholesalers get their first deal. And I mean, that's how they do it. And you should probably do it too, right? So what I want to do is answer some questions and see how we can help you guys become the best wholesalers possible, and really see what I can do to help lead you to the best success in wholesaling real estate. But again, before we break it down, make sure y'all go to freewholesaling.com or free real estate wholesaling course, where we'll share with you exactly how to get started in wholesaling real estate and how to be the most successful possible. You don't have to go through it. I'm just letting you know your competition is probably going to go through it. And we're getting tens of thousands of people signing up every single month at freewholesaling.com. So either your competition is going to get the skills and whoop your butt, or either you're going to do it and match them and then rise above it. It's up to you which one you want to do. The word is out. The gurus cannot hide freewholesaling.com from anyone anymore. They used to.
They
tried, but it's not really suppressive. You can't really suppress it anymore, right? It's a movement, and gurus tried really hard at the beginning of the year to stop it, but can't be stopped.
Why would anybody want to stop something that's like absolutely free and is there to help
it's
you
money
out? And I heard one the other day is like, well, you really need to have a coach for accountability. Guys, if you need a stranger, you have to pay for accountability. Trust me. Once you pay them, there is no more accountability for them. It's just simply straight up instruction. If they have 1,000 students, you don't make it, I promise you, it's not that big of a deal to them. It's just the truth. If you can't hold yourself accountable, I promise you a coach won't do it. A mentor won't do it. It's those people that realize that eventually you have to stop telling yourself to lie and you hold yourself accountable. That's when you can make incredible growth in your life. And there is no third person that's going to tell you to be accountable. Someday you're just going to have to accept it and go, it's a lot easier. I can get a lot further if I'm just brutally honest with myself. So that's what you got to understand.
You guys got to understand. freewholesaling.com. That's where it's at. That's how you become successful.